Good evening, fellow patriots. Here we are again, 1 year later. And what have we been doing in this last year? We've been contacting our elected representatives, our rulers. We've emailed, we've sent letters, we've gone to their offices, we have protested, we've marched on Washington. Did they listen? No. So is this where it stops? No. If we contact our rulers and they refuse to consider our rights and our liberties, do we just give up? No. If they continue with health care reform and it remains the law of the land, and they push forward with cap and trade, and comprehensive immigration reform, and net neutrality, and all that other stuff on their goodie list, do we just consign ourselves to the new paradigm of totalitarianism they will have created? No. Well, keep this in mind. The only reason that all these things happen is because we allow it to happen. We are cooperating in our own destruction up to this point. In great deference to Glenn Beck, we're not trying to save the Republic any longer. We lost the Republic about 100 years ago when we decided that our leaders could step well outside the bounds of their constitutional limitations. And they did it with our blessing. We decided that we could have it all. That we, the people, the free people, were compatible with a government that could meet our every need and fulfill our every wish. That a free people was compatible with a government that could meet their every need. You know what? That's a lie. Republicanism and statism cannot coexist. They cannot be together. They do not mix. Having a little socialism is like being a little bit pregnant. Because once the door is open, even a small crack, the precedent for totalitarianism has been set. If one area of government control is acceptable, no good argument can be made against any other. So before we continue on, we need to decide what kind of people we're going to be. Are we going to be the rugged individualists, the hardy men and women who built this country to be the greatest the world has ever seen?
Yes.
Or do we want to be taken care of?
What do you say?
Do we want to be the immature weaklings who come begging on our hands and knees to our great and almighty government, asking them to fulfill our every wish and our every desire? Are those the people we want to be? No. Well, let me ask you this then. Are you ready to give up all your government goodies in order to take control and responsibility for your own life? Are we ready to live without Social Security, Medicare, welfare? Are we ready to educate our own children? And take care of our own parents? That's good to hear. That is good to hear. Are we ready to rely on ourselves and our families and our churches and our communities and our neighborhoods instead of on the government? If we're going to put the genie back in the bottle, we first have to stop asking it to fulfill our every wish. So how do we go about this? Where do we go from here? We've been doing this a year. So where do we go from here? I'm going to put together a short plan of action. Very short. We've heard a lot in the last year about Saul Alinsky and rules for radicals. Well, you know what? The left, they can keep their Saul Alinsky. I prefer the method of Henry and Adams and Jefferson, as in Patrick Henry, Daniel Adams, and Thomas Jefferson. See, the patriots, the colonists, they were always politically involved. They were astute. They were educated. And now we are becoming those people. We've been engaging in this first stage for over a year now, some of us much longer. We've protested. We've contacted our leaders. We're trying to convince them that liberty is better than tyranny. That we would prefer that they follow the philosophy of Washington and Jefferson and not so much Marx and Lenin. But as they showed us last month, very obviously, they're not about to be swayed by such methods. They are set upon a course to impose totalitarianism upon us. And they're willing to sacrifice a few of their own electorally in order to place their system over us. They believe, and unfortunately history supports their assertion, that once passed and implemented, their totalitarian agenda, their despotic actions, will become an integral part of American life. That we, the people, will accept another link in the chains that bind us. That we, the people, will consign ourselves to another layer of servitude. Well, I don't know about you, but I refuse to accept that tyranny any longer, because I am not a slave. And I refuse to consign my children to bear even greater burdens than I myself bear today. I